So I'm here to just basically talk to you all about some of the things that I find interesting in Formula One history, and by far one of the most interesting things. Now I'm gonna pronunciate that. I'm going to elaborate on that. I'm going to expound on that. Okay, there are many other things that I find very interesting. This is one of them. The Prost and Senna battle between 89 and 90, because it involved so much political. Like, a lot of people talking about politics don't belong in sports. Politics have always been in sports since the beginning of sports, since the beginning of the time. You can go back to the gladiators, and politicians were sitting in the rows and having amusement of watching this bloodthirst sport. So don't give me that shit about politics don't belong in sports in any facet. Cut it out. All right. A lot of you use that excuse or that lame duck statement to try to avoid certain topics that especially are racial or injustice topics. But today is not really one of those. Today is politics within the sport of what I looked at as favoritism. And even if you don't look at it as favoritism, you look at it as somebody who established theirself and established a relationship with authorities in a manner in which probably should not have been allowed. And by far has been happening. We've seen this several times, even in today's time. But 89 Prost and Senna was very interesting to me. I definitely love watching the races. In this race, if you are not familiar with this race, it was very controversial. It was something that definitely spiked a feud, put blood in the water, divided several teams and people, definitely the drivers. And I think it changed Senna in the way he operated as a person in the sport. As a driver, he was already pushing the envelope. He was already very good at that. He was already one of those people that wasn't satisfied ever, pretty much, like always trying to push. But in this race, the way it had come to be was Senna does not finish, Prost is champion. All right. If Senna does not finish the race, Prost is champion. Oh, that's it. Like, if he doesn't finish, Prost is champion, period. Okay. If they both finish, Prost is still, I believe he's still champion. But regardless, if Senna doesn't finish, he's champion. And I highlight that because of what I believe happened. And it's my opinion on what happened in this race that I believe someone was at fault. So as you see, I tell you what, we'll look at this. All right, we'll look at this. And before we go into that, let's check out some of these stats by these two gentlemen, by what I would consider two legends in the sport, by way of what they built together, what happened between them, and what they did as far as revolutionizing certain things in a way things might even be carried out as far as rules, right, and regulations. We have these drivers that come around ever so often and change things. They have a ripple within the sport, and those ripples travel throughout generations of the sport. And by far, Prost, Senna, Schumacher, all the situation with Damon Hill and Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, all these things will ripple throughout time and be remembered and reflected back up on. And so we look at these times, and, and rest in peace to Senna. He lost his life, I believe, on the track. Now, if you watch certain videos, you can still see Senna moving here and there his head. Now, I don't know if those are involuntary reactions or reflexes that are happening and he's passing while he's in the vehicle. I do believe that Senna died on the track, maybe not in the car, but as they had him out of the car working on him, I think he died on the track before they helivaced him out of there. And I believe they didn't tell the drivers. And Schumacher was very passionate about this after it happened, because things were unclear on whether Senna was alive or was he not. And I don't think that certain officials decided to tell drivers this in order to keep the race going and to finish the race. And then delivered this information later, but it could have been maybe Senna did pass at the hospital, or maybe he passed in the helicopter. I personally believe that he passed there on the track while they were working on him, and I think that's why they covered up his face. And it was a very unfortunate situation. You know, if you watch that, anytime you're watching an event that took somebody's life, it's like that's never entertainment, right? That not to me anyway. It was very, even still just now talking about it, I get kind of goosebumps because, you know, you're watching somebody's life pass, although while doing something that they tremendously love doing, that they really enjoy doing. And Senna himself even said that that's what you risk. In this game, that is what we risk, knowing that our lives can be taken, and his life was taken. And Senna himself, I believe he saw a very catastrophic incident before. You know, before this even happened to him, he saw a racer, and I don't even think it was in the race. I think it was during a practice. And like, dude, literally, the car was obliterated. He's laying on the track. I think he might even still been attached to the seat. If he wasn't, he's laying on the track. And I thought he was dead right there and then, but I think he survived. But Senna, seeing that, still keeping the push on. But anyway, I could kind of just keep going into that just situations. But as you see, Prost 67 seasons, 13 seasons, 2 more than Senna. Of course, that would not have been the case given that Senna was still here among us. Definitely to add to today's time in Formula One, and definitely to even hear his takes on how he would feel about certain situations as they developed, you know, especially Niki Lauda being here. I would wonder what he would say as things had developed still until today. Events entered 202 to 162, starts 199 to 161. Of course, both of these gentlemen have finished as high as first. Best grid positions, you know, I don't really think they were keeping track of that at that time, 0, because I know for a fact Senna had pole position, which was another controversial situation that took place, and we will probably talk about that. Podiums, wins 51-41, podiums 106 to 80, pole positions 33 to 65. You look at that. Also wins from pole 18 to 29, championships 5-2. So I don't know how far Senna would have taken it. I think pretty far. I think he definitely would have matched Prost, given that he was still there, still around. This was one of those situations where, you know, Senna was coming up, Prost was already there, so he's going to be the new blood coming in. And, you know, unfortunately, like we already know, we already talked about, I don't want to keep saying it, but that was the situation. So in this race in 89, I feel like Prost, I'm not sure if he completely opened the door, but there was space there that Senna felt was an opportunity for him to get into. And in this race, and matter of fact, let's see if we can show. So as we get into this, they're coming down now. This is well into the race. Like, this is like lap 46, 47. And Prost is going to be up top. Senna is going to try to pretty much squeeze in on the bottom side there. Now, you got to remember, at this point in time, if Senna does not finish, Prost knows that he's champion. He knows this already. So I just felt like, and here it comes right here, Senna tries to squeeze in, boom, Prost collides with Senna. And from there, you really can't tell what's going on, but I felt like there was some room there for Senna to get in. Now, at this point in time, the rule that, now technically, if we go by the rules that are today, Senna did not have the corner. But here's where the real big controversial part comes in. Senna realizes he's not dead in the water. He continues through the escape route. Now, Prost thinks he has this thing in the bag. Matter of fact, he knows himself he's got this in the bag. Senna thinks that he's managed to salvage his season, his championship opportunity, gets back to the pits, gets the front wing replaced, and continues on through the race and finishes the race. All right, he finishes the race and basically thinks that he is champion at this point in time. Okay, now from that angle, from that camera view, you might say to yourself, like, that was Senna's fault. I didn't even from that camera view feel it was Senna's fault. I felt like even in racing, I think it was just odd for Prost to be that deep in that corner. But that was my opinion, right? I felt like Senna had space there. I felt like Prost might have left some space there for Senna to be inviting to it. But what else is a little bit intriguing to me is going to be this clip that I'm going to show you now. All right, I'm going to show you this clip, and then you let me know what you think.
Place there, I was playing for everything, steering wheel, and I was penalized for everything.
Turns again. I felt like right there with the steering wheel adjustments, opening 3 times, that was not to me a normal movement if you're just trying to make a corner. Prost is a very experienced driver, and I don't feel like that was normal for me. So I felt like Prost was at fault. But evidently, Senna finished the race. And in great fashion with everything he did to get back in it. They felt like Senna using the escape route was illegal. It was not correct the way he used. They felt like his car should have been pushed back and he should have went on. And Senna and other people felt like maybe that was more dangerous. Maybe pushing the car back into traffic was more dangerous than using the escape route, which that is what it should be used for, and then going forward. I don't feel like he gained an advantage. The advantage was already over as he and Prost collided. Prost was out. He entered the track to me, which seemed safe. I didn't see anything where he was going to collide with another car, and there was no advantage to me gained there because then he goes into the pits for the front wing replacement. Well, it comes out later after the race, they're summoned, they go over this situation, and Senna is to be found at fault for basically illegally using the escape route, I believe. And then they that goes on. Of course, they take it up, they go to the courts, and they fine this man 100,000 pounds and suspend him for 6 months. And to me, that was egregious. They declare Prost champion. That's how he got the championship. Some of you might be thinking something, and you could be correct to think it. But that is how Prost got the championship. The current president at that time awarded him that. They both had a very intermingling relationship, which was seen then, and I don't think Senna felt so great about that. Also, during a driver's meeting, Senna didn't even voice it at that time. I believe somebody else voiced the concerns of similar concerns that Senna had, and it was just crazy. He was going through this whole emotional mental thing, like just utter bullshit, basically. It's utter bullshit was happening. I lost a championship that I did win, and within these politics, you strip me of that championship, although I was not even the one who caused the collision. I don't feel Senna caused that collision. I really think, dude, after seeing Prost's steering wheel situation, even watching that race, I felt like Prost, he promoted that collision. It was totally something unavoidable. Senna was I don't even think Senna technically would have passed him in that corner. I think Senna was too deep in that corner. Prost probably could have went around. Senna probably would have overshot, if not slowed him up. But either way it goes, maybe Senna passed him. And then that kind of escapes the fact that Prost did not want Senna to finish that race because he knows if he doesn't finish, he gets it. And he did get it. Along with him getting the championship, Senna gets suspended for 6 months and fined 100,000 pounds. I was like, whoa, that was crap. So anyway, we come to 90. We come to the 90 race in Suzuka. Senna makes pole. Him making pole, he makes pole position, and then they place pole position on the most efficient side of the track. The side of the track that clearly is out of the racing line. And Senna was very felt about like why would you do that? Why would somebody work so hard to earn pole position and then you put them in the worst position on the track, which won't benefit what they've earned? And I totally agreed with Senna on that. I thought that was crazy. And they still did it. They still did it. So still even then, I felt like they were doing what they could to try to hold Senna back. And that's just my opinion. Other people, I mean, you're totally willing to feel how you feel. I mean, this is a historical situation. It's just how I feel about it. But anyway, they move pole position to the dirty side of the track. And Prost takes the lead, I believe, right to the first corner. And it's almost a mirror, a mirror reflection of what happened in 89, just at higher speeds. And Senna squeezes inside again, To me, Prost turns down and they cause a major collision, and they both go off the track, right? They both head off this track. Let me see. Let's see if we can check this out. All right, not this one. They both head off this track, and it was crazy to me that this did happen. And I feel like Senna, I feel like Senna felt like, yo, this was karma. It was karma.
Ayrton. Well, unfortunately, we touched in the first corner when we were fighting for the lead.
He was right to feel how he felt about the race.
I think that's because the pole position is on the wrong side of the track here. You wanted to change that. Absolutely. You fight, you break your to be on pole, and then they put you on the wrong side of the circuit. How do you feel about being world champion? It's not a bad feeling at all, is it? Congratulations.
Look at Senna's face when he answers that. When he answers that question, I felt right then and there, Senna was like, isn't karma a bitch? That's how I felt. I felt like in Senna's face when he was answering that question, he was like, yeah, karma's a bitch, ain't it? Because in this point in time, in this race, Senna is crowned champion because both drivers cannot finish the race. So Senna becomes champion. And I felt like that was a very big point where Senna was like, yeah, karma is a bitch. And I felt right then and there, he felt, I got it. But still, he would have had two. I felt like he would have had two. I felt like Senna was going to beat Prost in 89. And he would have had two going into that season. He had one, and then he would have got another one, right? But it didn't happen that way. But I do feel like Senna felt like he was vindicated, like karma came back around, bit Prost in the ass. And even then at the beginning of that race, they tried to shaft Senna, giving him the dirty side of the track while having pole position. And it was horrible. So that's how I feel about it. Just something I'm sharing about my own personal thoughts on certain races. You let me know what you think. Subscribe, like, comment, all that. Just build it. See you for the lives on Quality Kickback and Finale Lap. Peace. Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.